Are you a business owner stuck in fear, doubt, and worry about what the marketplace will look like in the future? Then this show is for you. Strap on your seatbelt and get ready to disrupt and innovate. Here's your host, Lisa Levy.
Hello and welcome. Today, I am thrilled to introduce to you JayStiles, a #1 Amazon best-selling author and expert book writing and self-publishing coach. With a background in journalism and a passion for storytelling, Jay has dedicated his career to helping entrepreneurs, business owners, speakers, and thought leaders transform their ideas into high-quality nonfiction business and self-help books. As the founder of Aspiring Authors of Change, Jay empowers individuals to leverage the power of persuasive writing to build their brands, generate leads, and grow their businesses. In today's episode, we'll dive into his journey from journalism to best-selling author, his approach to helping others achieve their writing goals, and the impact that publishing a book can have on personal and professional growth. It's my pleasure to welcome Jay to the conversation today.
Hey, Lisa, how you doing?
I am fabulous, Jay. Thank you so much for joining me.
Absolutely.
It is so much fun to have conversations with people who are genuinely trying to help others build and grow their businesses. Writing is a fabulous way to do it. I have a few books of my own that are out there, but for the audience, share with them why this is your passion, how you got here, and why it's important that you're doing it right now.
Absolutely. So thank you for having me on. So how I got here. So let's unpack that. So I wrote my first book as a way of promoting my documentary that I released back in 2020. And so I released the documentary back in 2020, February 2020, actually. I only had one screening for the documentary. And then, of course, the next month, everything shut down, the stay-at-home mandates, COVID. And so I didn't have any way to promote my documentary. There was no other screenings. Like the whole world was just, on lockdown. So I had to find a way to really pivot into my marketing as far as marketing my documentary, because I spent a lot of time, maybe 2 years actually, putting that together. And so after maybe 2 months, I came across an article and it was talking about how book sales were surging. And I just had a thought. I was like, you know what if I took the information from the documentary and just transformed that into a book format, since everyone is at home, everyone is buying books and reading. And that's exactly what I did. And I felt like people would get, inspired and motivated by the different stories that I placed inside the documentary. I placed that inside the book. And it would kind of pique their interest to go out on Amazon and purchase the documentary. And that's exactly what happened. But not only that, also, I was getting invites to speak on podcasts during that time. And then with podcasts really exploded during that time, 2020. And then I was getting on featured articles as well. So that really expanded my reach, and my documentary is being promoted. And not only that as well, something amazing happened that I didn't plan for it to happen. A lot of people were reaching out to me and they were saying, hey, Jay, I see that you wrote a book. I love your book, but how did you go about doing that? How did you write and self-publish your book? And I kept getting a million, questions in my inbox in regards to, can you give me some advice? And so I just thought to, help, at the time I was helping pretty much everyone. I really didn't identify my audience at that time.
Yep.
And then I switched over to, really helping, business coaches, write books to, grow their business and attract leads for their clients. And that's why I'm here today.
So it's an absolutely fabulous story, right? 2020 changed so many things for so many people.
It did.
I self-published my first book and launched it in May of 2020. It had been, right? It was originally, I had it designed, it was going to launch in March. I was like moments away from signing a contract for the big launch party, right, in March. And by the grace of just some stupid things, right, didn't go down that path. And then everything changed. Mm-hmm. And people did start reading again, right? We were consuming written word in so much volume and veracity. My book, the day that it launched, number one in 13 different categories.
Wow, that's amazing.
It is, and I don't know why or how, right? I didn't, right? You need one, right? We're all going for one.
Right,
Please, please, please let us get to one.
right,
And then the pandemic things happened.
right,
So I love that you took, right, that upside down and backwards world that we were living in and repurposed content. Documentaries are passion projects. You didn't describe for us exactly what was the documentary about.
So this documentary, it's titled
Okay.
Become Inspired with JayStiles. And I took five successful individuals that I knew personally. So my background is entertainment industry. I was a entertainment correspondent, radio personality. And so I know these five successful individual people. So I wanted to, have a documentary for as a platform where people will understand the transparency and people's success, because we look at Instagram and say it's a highlight, pretty much a highlight factor of people's lives, but it really doesn't show the in between. Some
Mhm.
people think that overnight success is really an overnight success, but it's actually 10 years in the making. So I decided to create a documentary in regards to those five individual lives, and just tell their stories, just to motivate and inspire individuals.
Absolutely wonderful, right? Five stories, and stories are what we relate to as human beings. That's the point of connection. It's the point of, I had an experience like that. I never want to have an experience like that, right? We
Right,
have, right, these emotional responses.
right.
And so with that, you had the documentary, you turned it into a book.
Hmm.
I'm going to guess that you also turned parts of that into some blog posts, some smaller form videos, the talking and being on podcasts, right? You're repurposing content.
Right.
And that is the key. So you started helping anybody and everybody who asked, because this was a path that you didn't necessarily plan for. So right, looking, whoever needed help, you were there,
Right.
but you've matured it into something. So as you're working with thought leaders, business coaches, consultants, business owners, what are some of the reasons that they're starting and writing their books? And what is that experience like for you working with them?
So the reasons that most, business coaches and thought leaders, write books is to attract more clients for their business.
Yeah.
That's the main reason. And I was first working with, individuals who just had a passion to write a book. But that passion sometimes is not enough for them to actually finish writing a book, because as you know, writing a book is time, is commitment, is time consuming. And if you're not passionate about it, you can abandon ship right in the middle of, of writing a book. So I decided to help, business coaches, thought leaders, people who are really trying to attract, clients for their business. And the best way to do that is, by writing a book, because, it it builds awareness to those readers who may not identify that they have a problem, but they pick up your book and you start, talking about different ways how they can solve their problem without they even realizing they have a problem. And then by the end of the book, they're like, you know what, I want to take the next step. And so you write the book as a book funnel, and basically by the end of the book, you have them, either you'll place links in the book to book a call or to attend a workshop or a boot camp. But it's a book funnel to get them onto your email list, where you can nurture those relationships, and then you can send out your offers, get your one-on-one
Yeah.
consultations, things of that nature. So it's a book funnel for your business. The great thing about writing a book is selling without selling, because people hate to be sold to. Yeah, and the thing with a book, again, it's just a conversation starter. So while your book sells or someone downloads your ebook, of course you're not there reading them the book. They're doing that on themselves. But after they read the book, they just realize that they do need your help. So you sold them on that particular solution for their actual problem. So I think it's a beneficial way to really gain trust in a world full of the rise of AI, and people just can't.
Mm.
They feel like they can't trust what's online. And so that's why I always say that, writing a book is perceived as at a higher value than any other marketing strategy out there.
One of the things, and I know in my own personal journey, as people made the suggestion that a book was a next step that was, important to my business and the growth and the development of that, right? That first thought is, oh my God, that is a huge undertaking
Yeah.
and mind blowing on one level. The idea to think that I had to sit down and write, and not just write hundreds of pages for it to be meaningful, right? And to get to at that stage in time, right? You still want your spine to be of a certain height so that you can read the title if it were on a bookshelf, and all of these little weird details and things that nobody actually thinks about.
Right.
And today, I will say, are totally irrelevant because most people are reading in an electronic format.
Yep.
But how do you coach your clients through the writing process? Actually, probably isn't as hard as they think it's going to be because of what they do and how they do it.
Mm-hmm. I think for me, we start at the beginning stage, the
Yeah.
planning stages, and identify who their audience is, and then just taking them through that whole journey. Because most of my clients, they start, they don't know, what to write about. They don't really they have an idea of who their audience is, but it's not
Mhm.
narrow, it's not targeted. So I help them define that audience, and then the last thing is really identifying what problem are you trying to solve for this particular audience, and what solution do you have for them. And that is the main goal for this book, is really to have solutions for a particular problem, because without a solution, people won't actually go out and buy your book. I always tell my clients that your family and your friends, they're always going to support you, they're going to buy your books, but if you don't have any solutions for problems, then no one else would care about it. And that's just true, because people buy nonfiction books for one of three reasons. One is to learn a new skill, accomplish a goal. And then the last one is to, solve a problem. So if you're not doing one of those three, then why should someone write your book? You may get likes on social media, but people won't go out and support you because they feel like, hey, I mean, it's a book. It's everyone writes books, but it's not relatable to them, so they can't see themselves buying a book where it doesn't transform them in some way. So the key is just transformation, and if you can transform people's lives or business, then you have a golden ticket for a book.
With this, do you have a story that you can share, whether it was part of your journey in creating become expi- become inspired? Easy for me. Look, the words are right behind you. All I had to do was read. Become inspired, or a story, a journey that you went on with one of your clients that sort of gives the audience a feeling of what the whole journey is like.
As far as from writing the book all the way
Yeah,
to,
the
yeah.
writing, right? What is it? What are some of those obstacles and roadblocks, and how do you navigate around them?
So the number one obstacle for a lot of my clients is they have business and they don't have time to actually write. And so I developed a 2-5-500 method. So it's writing for 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, with a minimum of 500 words. And the reason why this method works is because it's realistic. So I don't care who you are and how many businesses that you have, you can find 2 hours in your day to do something if it's a priority to you. And that's the key word, priority. If it's not a priority, then at least you have to acknowledge that, and move forward, and
Yeah.
complete it at another time when it's most important to you. So that's one of that's the major problem. And so what I do is, I'll have them go through their schedule and just find that 2 hours,
Hmm.
and 2 hours a day, just you will get your outline together. After we have get your outline together, you'll just write, 500 words. 500 words is maybe two paragraphs. And some days with writing, some days you'll barely reach 500, and other days you may have 1,200 words. But if you do this for 1 week, just the bare minimum of 500 words, that's 2,500 words. So that's enough for an ebook. You do it for 2 weeks, that's 5,000 words. So that's enough for a meteor ebook. And then if you do it for consistently for 12 weeks, then you will have 30,000 words. And again, this is just the bare minimum of 500 words. Again, you're going to be writing
Yeah.
at least 500 words, but some days you're going to be writing over that. So if you really want to do it, this really works. And I've done this with all of my clients and it works to them, but it's breaking down smaller goals, making it realistic for them. And then, you gain confidence too, within your journey. If you feel like if you're going somewhere, if you feel like that, if you are, basically making strides and, you're actually gaining momentum, you're going to continue to you want to continue the journey. You're going to want to continue the journey. And so that's, like I said, that's just one of the biggest, I say, obstacles that I have with clients is finding time to write if they're running a business.
I totally agree. Time, right, it's a finite commodity, and we can't manufacture more of it.
Right.
Right,
Exactly.
that's totally beyond our control. I love the method: 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, 500 words at a shot. That's 2,500 words a week.
Right.
One of the things for me that was really helpful was I have a fear of sitting at the keyboard and the blank page and being able to actually start to create things, because for two reasons. One, I'm a terrible typist and I missed typing in high school. Somewhere along the line, I'm bad.
Right.
And two, the blank sheet terrifies me. So what I learned in my journey was I am a coach, I am a consultant. I have slide decks upon slide decks of
Mm-hmm.
content.
Mm-hmm.
That is my secret sauce.
Mm-hmm.
And I deliver that content verbally.
Mm-hmm.
And so I, right from the outline, I started talking every day and recording it, and then using transcription, because I can edit
Mm-hmm.
so much more efficiently than I can sit and actually key things in. And the person who gave me that little tidbit said, Lisa, I'm not asking you to take a typewriter to the mountains and sequester yourself away for the next 6 months. Just share what you do day in and day out with your own clients.
Right.
And that was a game changer for me. And that took a book that was originally, the idea was so insurmountable and terrifying to me, to I had an outline and the first pass of content in 2 weeks.
Wow.
It wasn't enough content, right? But it was sort of that end to end. What is it? What is the message? What am I trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
Simply by going through what I do for a living and have created for all of my clients in those interactions. So business owners have the data,
Mm-hmm.
or their businesses wouldn't exist.
Right.
So it's just finding the way, I think, to tap into it so that they can get it out in a format that they can then share. So
Mm-hmm.
again, going back to the discipline and the method of finding the time and the mechanism is so impactful.
Very. Very.
And it's not scary,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
Small bite-sized pieces. Jay, as you've been building your business, what are some of the challenges that you've faced growing and scaling, for yourself?
I think with myself, I think with myself, there's so many ways out there to market yourself, as a business,
Mm-hmm.
and there's so many platforms. I think my thing is social media. Really being committed to just one social media and not five. um and then two, I think too, finding the time as well to create the content. So that's why I think for myself, what I do now, which is easier for me to cut down on time,
Yeah.
I use podcasting. Podcasting is big, just like I'm on your platform. So I use podcasting as a way to tell my message, deliver my message on other people's platforms. And then, of course, when this video is over, you'll send me a link or whatever, and I'll use a software to chop up the video. And I can cut through the video to the pieces that I want to display on social media without doing so much of the editing myself, but it's content. And then I'll, post a caption on there. So that is very simple for me. I do create other type of content as well. It's just more time consuming. So I think my thing is efficiency. So that's really been my struggle in my journey, is just finding the time to really create social media because it's a full time it's a full-time job, and I'm trying to run a business too. I have clients that I have to coach. So just to answer your question, how I create content now is basically on other people's platforms and using this podcast to chop it up, and I'll post different pieces of the content on social media just to solve my problem for efficiency, so I can work more into my business instead of always spending 3-4 hours creating content.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of my biggest problems with running my business is content.
And content is king. For
It
the
is.
audience members who are out there, if you've piqued their interest and their curiosity, what's the fastest place for them to find more about you?
You can go to leads, sales, profits, and growth.com. So this is you'll find a bio as well, but this is my ebook, Lead, Sales, Profits, and Growth, that I'm releasing. It's a free ebook, but I do have a bio as well at the end of the landing page as well, and you can find more about me as well.
Fabulous. The link, the URL will be in the show notes, so it's easy for everybody to find and get to you. Jay, thank you for this conversation today, right? Taking us through your story and how really this is an accidental business for you. In 2020, you did not plan to go down this path,
right?
But you had to pivot and learn. And not only that, you were able to change that into a business model that you were able to support others. And it all started with a documentary where you were proving and showing that overnight success, more often than not, is about 10 years of effort to make it look like it was that easy.
Right.
For the business owners, and who are out there considering writing a book, right? A book is a funnel with a call to action that helps your business grow and scale. Mm-hmm. And it is all about having the solution for a problem that somebody out there is experiencing. Jay also shared with us the method to making writing easier. It's a 3-step process, 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, 500 words. And at the end of 12 weeks, that's 30,000 words. And that's a typical length of a book. Mm-hmm. So I genuinely appreciate you being here with me today, Jay. And for my audience members, you know my rules. Join me next time. Don't get left behind.
That's it for today's episode of Disrupt and Innovate. Head over to iTunes and subscribe to the show.